It's a beautiful morning, May 1st. The river is just like glass. I can safely say that it's been well longer than, it's been over 20 years since I've been to the north side of Fredericton. Last time I was to Fredericton was my wife's graduation, but the last time I was to North Fredericton was years before that. It's kind of interesting to just see the constant change that's kind of evolving here. Much unlike the valley, or where I'm currently situated, but kind of seems like things kind of stay there until they just fall down and are unsafe or burn down or whatever. But I don't know, things here just kind of, when it loses its purpose or its place, it just kind of goes to the wayside and they put up something new. And it's kind of interesting because driving around last evening, I was trying to find my old apartment house, like my the old place we used to live, and it honestly was just unrecognizable. I drove by it and there was big complexes all around, but I just didn't recognize the building anymore. It's just changed so dramatically. It's kind of interesting just to see that kind of stuff. I was kind of sad when I thought that it was gone, to be honest with you, though, but it wasn't really ever the Taj Mahal, we'll say. It was it was definitely college. It was equipped for college living. So now we're turning off of Main Street. Now we're going to take a little drive down Sunset Drive. I seen it and I kind of was like, that seems to be a place that's calling me. It would be nice to come down through here on a sunset, but to be perfectly honest, I don't think you'd get much of a shot other than just everything getting kind of shadowed out by the sunset. So it's probably beautiful to drive, but I think that it would probably be a nightmare for me to film on sunset. Hard to say where I'll be this evening. was lucky enough to get just a short number of days over here that I was able to capitalize on, but I'm just trying to reach out as far as I can away from some of the spots that I'm at. I'm kind of can't venture too far because, in all honesty, my wife's at a seminar and we're just kind of, I'm hitting two birds with one stone right here. I'm gonna shoot a few videos. My wife gets to go to her seminar. We get to spend the evening together in the city that we went to university in, and kind of had fun as adolescents and whatnot, and in our youth. And it's kind of a nice little trip down memory lane, but it's nice to kind of get out and explore some of the area around the city that I wasn't privy to when I was here, and I was, locked into locations that I could get to on a skateboard or by foot or with a student's cash flow. So as you can imagine, the circle of where you get to is it was a lot smaller than what it is now. So it's kind of nice. It's a number of years, but in all honesty, that's just been, you don't get to go very far when you're, when you're a captain of a boat. You kind of got to babysit it. You don't get a lot of time to get away, and tending a boat is one of those things that when you are away, there's a lot of anxiety attached to it. So for a good 20 years or so, we never really went very far. It was a lot of local trips, a lot of fun living the local life, I guess, and there's kind of a little bit to be said for that. I mean, you can't really truly appreciate what the rest of the world really has to offer if you don't really know what your backyard has in store. So try to look at it as in a positive light, where we got to see a lot of local spots, a lot of things that were within 24 hours of the house. You kind of get back if there was an emergency or anything like that. That was just one of the necessary evils, I guess, of living that lifestyle. I mean, as a captain, you just didn't have the luxury. You're not working the day, that you just pack up and take off. It was more at risk, so I had to stay a little bit closer to home. But those cords have kind of been cut or severed, or however you want to call it. But as of these present days, I no longer lobster fish. Enough physical things and everything enough physical hurdles in my daily life that I just kind of chose another path. It's probably the best way to say it, but for a while it wasn't the easiest. It was kind of a situation of I wasn't prepared to leave it, let's just say that. For a long time I kind of mourned that job. That job had become a lifestyle, and to try to create a completely different lifestyle that didn't have any of that attached was just, I don't know, it was like you might as well have sent me to outer space. It was just, it was different. And out of that kind of blossomed this channel, because I had to just kind of keep away to keep my mind busy, to see other things and not really dwell on some of the negatives of having to leave that job, and kind of everything else that I basically left when I parted ways with lobster fishing, but oh my goodness, look at that place. Open front yard, right to the, oh my, right on the river. Hello. Yeah, see. I don't know what I'd do with a place like that. I know I wouldn't be home very much. This boy would be riverbound. Yeah, that was gorgeous. That was gorgeous property. I'm more for the property, I think. Like the manicured bushes, the mowed lawn, the stripes. Like, I don't know. I think it's a little bit of like the OCD that I think that me and my mother kind of have, because I am very much my mother's son. She takes it a little bit extra. Like, she'll notice when there's a pebble out of place in the driveway. Me, not so much. I get irritated when my stripes are ruined, but it's nice to see all the people taking pride in the property, though. I don't think I've ever been down through here in my life. I had been down to like Mactaquac and some different areas outside of the city that way. Like, I had a roommate that was from Mactaquac, another one that was from St. Stephen's. So I'd been down that kind of corridor, and I've been back and forth, you know, the journey from St. John numerous times as a student living over here and whatnot for a short time. And I went back and I fished. I obviously didn't capitalize on my time here. You'd probably understand that from some of my jokes and just kind of how well acquainted I am with all the old locations of where the bars used to be. But I don't know. I think I had a little bit of, I don't know. I had worked for a few years as a paralegal before I came over here. So I think having something in my back pocket really didn't benefit me with the drive, let's say. And I started that job really young. And I think that when I came over here, it was just kind of a, now I get to throw the cap in the air. I got to let the hair down. I got to let loose, and yeah, I didn't capitalize on it. And I went back. Lobster fishing at that time had kind of like boomed within like the 5-year period up till then. You know, there was a big shift in how the fishery was producing. And I did. I just kind of, I left here, I went back home, and I started pulling traps. Working on the deck of a lobster boat, and never really looked back. About, I think 5 or so years after working on there, I got my captain's tickets. And then about 4 years after that, I started running a boat and took over a rig. And then the time clock the time started. Like, I've had lifelong issues with my knees, and that's it led up into issues with my hips and my back. And the facts are the facts. Standing on your hips or standing on your legs 12 to 18 hours a day on a boat that's constantly in motion, it was a different beast, and it was a beast that my body couldn't handle. And I had to walk away from it. And it wasn't really easy. now we're kind of going through a little village called Keswick. And I think it's just not much more than really just a village to be honest. But we're going to try to get down to McQueen's Corner, and then we're going to cut across the St. John River again over to central Kingsclear, and then we're going to work back up the other side of the St. John River to back up towards French Village and back towards Fredericton. So really it's just kind of a nice little drive out through the New Brunswick countryside for me and Abby. I got Abby in the back, she's sleeping. We had a really nice walk through the city last night. That was really nice. It's kind of a different contrast to strolling through the city at night in the evening when I was, 22-ish, 23 years old, whatnot. And oh my goodness, it's been so long. Wow. And now, just, back then we just kind of just, like, it really nowhere to lie. It was probably bar hopping and just kind of out for a stroll with the roommates and the fellers, just kind of shooting the stuff and having a normal little evening. But yeah, it was a nice little contrast to be able to come back and have something different. And me and Bria and Abby just kind of go for a little jaunt around town and reminisce and think back on some of the old memories and think of what it might have been like if we hadn't left the city. Or we've still got lots of friends that live here, and in the past they've always come to us in Nova Scotia and kind of understood my work situation, where I was kind of anchored, no pun intended, but I was somewhat anchored to that business and to that boat, and that's where you had to be. But yeah, they always came to us and had vacation and had their time over in Nova Scotia, so it was kind of nice to be able to return the favor, come over and have a visit with a few people, and see how their lives have developed in the city that we've left. And we miss it terribly. It's a beautiful city. I will go to my grave. London, Ontario, and Fredericton to me are two of the most beautiful cities. London might be a little bit different now. Again, it's been 20 years since I was there, actually. But it's the city of trees. Western is an absolutely beautiful campus. University of Western Ontario. And that was where I was when I went out there. I went out to see a friend that was in kinesiology program at Western University, and the city was beautiful. We ate at it was a 50s diner. It's probably not still there, but the people came up, took your order, and you sat at a booth. It was like the record. It looked like it was straight out of like Back to the Future, where Marty goes in. It was right out of a 50s movie. I'll always remember that. That was a good memory with me. Oh wow, that's a nice little shot of the Annapolis River. Oh my goodness. Get out of your home a little bit, guy. It is a nice little shot of the St. John River there. But I was not aware of, well, how would I know about construction, but kind of is what it is. Hopefully it's not too long. And we're off. So we're currently on Mactaquac Road now. And when we came to that stop sign turned down, we had just come through McKean's Corner. So they must be this must be a hydro causeway, similar to what we had in Annapolis. Judging by the towers in the air, those would be the gates, I would assume. Wow, quite an operation going on. Which it would be, but a feller could sit right here for an afternoon and watch pretty much a day's worth of Discovery Channel. Wow. So she's definitely a dam, a causeway dam. It's so weird to see the water level there to the right of us and so far down on the left. I've never really drove across a dam like that. I mean, we get a little bit of that sense at the causeway in Annapolis, but nothing to that extent. That's a deep old gorge. Okay, and there's the dam gates on the on the other side there and behind us. Very neat. Steamroller is just vibrating my entire soul. So for anybody that'll say that a Jeep is just going to shake herself apart, right there. She took it pretty decent. Good. This is just rerouting me through a whole bunch of crap. All these people driving on this tire. That was very, yeah. It could have been directed through there a lot better, I believe. You were really kind of whichever lane you wanted to go in once you got around the machinery, I guess. But yeah, you can get that's quite an operation over there, that dam. Through, I guess, French Village, although I believe it's just roads that kind of come off of this. Unfortunately, this is kind of just the main, like, I'd say it's more of a main highway or a throughway, but what a bright and beautiful morning, though. For 9:51. She's definitely a nice one. But it's only 9 degrees for as nice as it is. It's still chill. Yeah, the way that I wanted to go up through French Village there, it was kind of blocked off. And now looking at it, I think it was only a one-way. So when I was planned my route out this morning, the road that I was going to go up through into French Village there, yeah, it was pretty sure it was just a one-way. Unfortunately, sometimes the maps and the GPSs don't really show that, so. That's a ranch and a half. That's a nice spot. Overlooking Sugar Island. So it's not so much a highway, but more like a rural route. Fredericton city limits. Big difference between the two sides of the river. Beyond, it seemed like the city limits stretched out further than, or the populated city limits, but starting to get back within the reaches of the city now. Things are starting to pop up, a little more populated. But the north side of the river definitely seemed to be a lot more populated. That's a neat little spot. Hart's Island. They have a really neat little pool area and stuff down there. Palm trees, artificial palm trees and stuff all over it. So let's dip back down and across into Fredericton now. Some really nice riverside properties here now. Wow. Oh my goodness. goodness, that's a gorgeous property. Gorgeous properties, but I don't know if I could ever live in that tight of like a HOA neighborhood or whatever. Like, they might not be, but it's just property. Like, they're just stacked on top of each other. I don't know if I could do that. And I know, and I'm saying that after living in a city. Like, I've lived in I've lived in Yarmouth, Truro, the Valley, Fredericton. Like, I definitely like my peace and my area, just to be able to roam and to have a little bit of privacy. I don't know if I could do that I don't know if I could do it here. It would take a change. Like, that guy's, I don't know. When your front yard's the other guy's backyard, that's, I don't know. Like, there's no privacy. And he's getting a little bit restless in the back. I can hear her kind of shuffling around. I think we're gonna go to a park. But unfortunately, there's a couple parks that we were told to stay away from because they're not really safe to walk your dogs, from what we were told, from some things that you might find on the ground, some pokies and stuff. So that's rather unfortunate. So we're gonna, some of the places that I wanted to show you in Fredericton, it's just I'm not going to be able to go to them because it's not really safe. They're, especially to walk around with the camera equipment, I think you'd be just kind of making myself a target. So, and to have Abby with me would just not be a very responsible thing to do. So, unfortunately, some of those places, some of those parks, we're not going to really bother with. But there's a small little park that's close to the place that me and Bria have, where we have our Airbnb, and it's been a pretty decent little spot for Abby to stretch her legs. But she really had fun last night walking around the city with us, just kind of looking at everything, and I definitely think she was, her senses were definitely overstimulated, but it was good for her. She behaved well. She wasn't, she wasn't a big dog and a big, it wasn't too much for her. She handled it well, I will say that. I was very proud of her. She hasn't been in many city settings or situations, but we've had her around enough people and socialized that she's, she pulled it off pretty good. And it's nice to be able to be proud of her, and I think she kind of got that sense too, that we were pretty happy with how she had conducted herself. So that's a little different view of the bridge that we crossed over at the beginning of the video. And this will pretty much, won't bring us to a full circle because that's Westmoreland Street and we're going to get off. Go up through, so. Give you another shot of the river, and we'll close this one off. So if you made it this far, I appreciate you very much. Thank you very much. Until the next one. We'll see you later. Enjoy your days. Try not to waste it.